You're listening to Turn the Page, a bookish podcast about all things fantasy, YA, LGBT and romance. We'll be talking about our favourite books, the latest book news and events, and our monthly book club. And now over to our hosts, Kaylee and Sophie. Hello and welcome to the Turn the Page podcast. I'm Kaylee and I run the My Endless Shelf book blog, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host and sister Sophie. Hi Sophie, how are you?
Hello, I'm really well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm really well, thank you. How have you been since we last spoke? Anything exciting happened?
No, not really. My work holiday finished, and
no more paid reading time.
I know. And obviously, like in the last episode, we talked about how I'd really got back into my reading, and I was enjoying it so much, and I found lots of time to do stuff, even though it was a bit strange.
Yeah.
And in the hope to carry that on, it's just not happened.
No.
So it's horrible how having a job just gets in the way of like living the best life that you possibly could. So
yeah, I know that feeling a little.
I mean, it's nice to get back to a little bit of normality though. So
yeah,
I'm hoping
that's good.
Once my brain's calmed down and I can actually think normally again, then I'll get back to my reading and enjoy it still.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I know for me sometimes when my brain's all over the place, I try and pick something that makes me feel better. You know, I usually reread stuff when I'm feeling a bit low.
Well, that's the thing. I normally, like, if I'm feeling a bit low and I'm struggling to get into something, I'll switch to Audible.
Okay.
As I've said before, I'm a massive fan because, I don't know, it's like being told a bedtime story all the time. But yeah, obviously with being at work, I can't really listen.
No.
So, and then when I get home and I put it on, I tend to just fall asleep, which kind of defeats the point of reading.
Yeah, I've been doing that too. I put it on and I set a sleep timer for like an hour, and within 15 minutes I'm fast asleep.
Yeah, that's
and
like
it's
me.
really annoying because it's usually I am actually interested in the story, and it doesn't reflect the book at all or the narrator.
It's just the fact that
I'm
your brain's
exhausted.
that tired. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So, what about you? Anything exciting for you lately?
No. No. I've just work. I went to the beach today. That was probably the most exciting thing that's happened to me all month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, surprisingly though, I know last month I said that I was doing really badly in terms of my reading and my Goodreads challenge specifically.
Yeah.
But actually, I think our podcast kind of spurred me on a bit, and I've read, for me, quite a decent amount this month.
Yeah, so we've had like a switch, haven't we?
Yeah, because I've read quite a few, not loads, but a few different books, and it's been a nice change for me, and I've been really enjoying them as well.
Well, let me tell you, this month is my month. You've had yours now.
No, you're not taking July. No, I'm on a streak. I'm not allowed to have it.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. And then work happened.
Yeah, work gets in the way. But anyway, before we talk about anything else, I just wanted, for anybody who wasn't here last month, just to let them know that Turn the Page is a bookish podcast. We just chat about fantasy books, YA, LGBT and romance. We talk about our favourite books, any book news or events that's caught our eye, and obviously our new monthly book club. And we'll be talking about our very first book club book later.
Yes.
About that a bit later. This podcast runs on the second Tuesday of every month, and we will also be adding something a little bit new, which will be on the Friday after the podcast goes live. So the second Tuesday the podcast goes live, and the second Friday we will be doing a live Twitter chat at 7 p.m. UK time about our monthly book, so everybody can get in touch and just have a chat about what they did and didn't like about that month's book. Okay. But yeah, I wanted to ask you, so you said you hadn't been reading a lot this month, so what have you read other than our monthly book club book, which we'll talk about later?
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to talking about that. So I have been reading a book called The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd-Jones.
Yes, I think you mentioned that actually last month as well.
I did. And again, I only chose it because the cover is so pretty, which I'm hoping to do a really nice Bookstagram photo when I do my review for it as well.
Yes, and just so everyone knows, our book of the month this month, the cover is very pretty.
Yes, it is. Yeah. But yeah, I think one of the reasons that it's taken me so long to read this is because I'm enjoying it so much. It's set
Oh,
in
and you just
like,
don't want it to end.
no, I really don't. Like, I'll read whatever I read instead of like reading on. I'll close the book and I'm like, no, that'll do because I'll be nearly finished it otherwise.
Yeah, I've had so many books I've read where I just don't want it to end.
That's the thing. And
Yeah,
then
and
I'll just,
you almost stall yourself from
yeah.
finishing it.
So I'm putting it down and then I'm reflecting on all the good parts and like the main character. Um, she's just so fiery and sarcastic and funny, even in such a dark and grim situation.
Yeah.
And I think for me as well, because it's set in like ancient Wales, and it goes on to talk about like the slate mines and stuff like that. Now I've actually been to those whilst I was on a holiday a couple of years back.
Oh,
So
that's really cool.
when it's talking about how it is, like you can hear the water dripping and you can hear bits of rock falling off and hitting other bits of clay and slate and stuff like that. Like I'm just so immersed in it. So I've got the full setting laid out in my mind, and I don't know if that's another reason that I'm enjoying it so much. And there's also like the best goat in the entire world.
Yes, I keep hearing about this goat.
Yeah, like it's just so good. So yeah,
Yeah, you haven't.
I'm nearly finished it, and I can't wait to write my review.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Even just
Yeah, I've been
talking about
hearing.
it, I'm just grinning like an idiot because I'm just really enjoying it. So
That's really good. I know you've been talking to me a lot about it, but
yeah,
not giving away too much,
no,
which is really cool. Because I know. Oh, sorry, go on.
I don't want to give too much away because, like, obviously I've got my review to write for it, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody else. But
Yeah, and you're making me want to read it though as well because I don't really read horror, but you've said it's
no,
not
but
really
it's
a
not.
horror.
I think because of the sarcastic wit of the main character, and
Yeah.
obviously her little sister. She's got a little sister, and she's quite funny as well. Because she loves this goat, and it kind
Isn't
of
it funny though how sometimes like animals and characters like that can actually really make a
yeah
story?
yeah
There's a series I really love, which is the Spellslinger series by Sebastian de Castell.
yeah
And my favorite character in that is a talking cat, like a
yeah
talking squirrel cat
yeah.
named Rikus, and he's so witty and funny and just
Well,
insane and
that's
really
the
rude
thing.
and bloodthirsty, and
Yeah,
he makes the book for me.
yeah. I mean, this book it's about zombies basically, and
Oh, okay.
obviously that doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. I don't like zombies. I just don't see the
No.
point in them. But then,
Yeah.
like reading this book, it's just I don't know. It's just I don't know. Like there's a quote that I saved, just to give you a bit of an inkling of like the sarcasticness, and basically these zombies have got somebody in the village, and the main character's like, well, it could have been a bandit, or maybe one of the guy's chickens got hold of a blade, but I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
little comments like that.
Yeah, just quite quirky. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. It sounds good. So I'm really looking forward to your review. So other than that, I think you said you hadn't read anything else, had you, apart from our book of the month?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
No. Okay.
I
So
think
yeah,
because it
you,
takes me so long to choose something as well.
yeah,
I
which
just I
makes
just
perfect
haven't.
sense.
Yeah. I mean, there are quite a few that I'm excited to read, which I think we'll go into a bit later on.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, my month for bookwise was a bit up and down, really. So I finished Lies We Tell Ourselves, which I was talking about last month,
Yes.
which it was a difficult book to read. The subject matter was it was just really hard to read. But I did at the same time really enjoy it, but for very different reasons. And this is probably making no sense. So go and read the review.
No. To
Because
be
I think I
honest,
was a
it's
little bit more coherent in the actual review.
yeah, it does make
Um,
sense because
but
obviously
yeah, I enjoyed it, but also didn't enjoy
what was
what was
happening.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was a bit of a tricky one. And then I read The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, which was the last book in the Folk of the Air
Yeah, I
trilogy.
remember you've been
Now,
reading that for a while, hadn't you?
yeah, and the book itself took me ages to read. And I don't know whether that was just me being busy and not committing to it, or whether it was that after I'd finished it, I kind of felt a bit disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
So because I really did enjoy the trilogy, so the first two books, and then with this one, I just felt disappointed by the ending. I mean, I don't know whether it's just that I didn't want to finish. But at the same time, I just felt that it was too neat. So from this series, you haven't read it, I know, but I've come to expect sort of shocks and twists, and it's not going to be a happy ending. Kind of what you expected from Game of Thrones, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
you know it's not going to work out well. And the ending just kind of fell flat for me. It just felt like half of the characters who I expected to be vicious and to actually add some danger and stuff to the plot did nothing.
Yeah.
And it just felt really almost rushed, just like, oh, I've got to get this tied up and finished, and that's it, and it's done. And I know I'm going to have a very different opinion from other people. So if anyone's listening, like, you're talking rubbish, no, it was amazing, please let me know because I do want to hear from other people and get your opinion too. But for me, I just felt like the characters had just been a bit dulled down and just they'd lost the essence of what had been built up in the previous two books. And I just felt like it just wasn't, there was just felt for me that there was no substance there.
Yeah.
I mean, I did enjoy being back in the world, because I did enjoy the world that had been created over the past two books. And the pace was fine. It was just, yeah, I just didn't love it as much as I wish that I had, really. And that's sad
Oh.
when you come to the end of a
Yeah, it
trilogy or
is,
the end
because
of a series. Yeah, because you've become invested in it and you're invested in the characters and you want things to happen a certain way. I suppose as readers, we don't always get what we want,
yeah.
because it's not up to us. But yeah, so it was a bit of a difficult one, that one. And then as well as that, I read a book called Project Hero, which was an LGBT romance book, and that was really
Okay.
good actually. It had really good, or at least I felt for me, it was really good epilepsy representation,
Mm-hmm.
which was nice to see because I haven't really read any books with epileptic characters, not that I know of, not that I can recall,
Yeah.
and it was a really nice. I felt that the author handled it in a really nice way, and it was a really nice slow burn story with no drama, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just really nice. It was nice to read that in between a lot of all of the other fantasy stuff that I've been reading. So it was a nice little sort of soft, cute little intermission, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the only other thing is that I'm reading at the moment. I got an arc from NetGalley of A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. And so far, I am really enjoying that. It's really, really good.
Oh,
Or at
good.
least, well, I think it's really good. um, I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, I don't know why I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
So the pace is really good, and I really like the main character. I think she's really cool, and I think particularly the creatures and the setting in it are really cool. Um, but yeah, I'm still a bit I'm unsure where it's going, and it's going to be a series because on Goodreads it says that it's book number one. But I'm interested to see where the author's going to take the character and take what's happening and how that's going to go on from there. But at the moment, it is really cool. It's a cool fantasy. It's slightly reminiscent of Nevernight for me,
Yeah.
because it's a sort of a magic school setting. I know Nevernight isn't a magic school as such, but similar
Yeah.
type of thing. And I do think everything in it's really cool. Particularly there's the library in it. I think is very well done. I think the whole idea of the school is set in sort of a void, and this void sort of makes the school behave in different ways. And I'm not going to give anything more away than that, but it is so far really interesting.
Oh,
But yeah,
sounds
so I'm
good.
excited to see how that turns out. Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, other thing we wanted to talk about is we dropped the ball last month. It's our first podcast, so I'm hoping people will take it easy on us. But we completely didn't mention the fact that it was Pride Month, um, which was really stupid of us, really.
Yeah, I've already said
Um,
that. You know what my brain's like for
yeah,
forgetting
mine too,
things.
apparently. Yeah. But to be fair, last month you made notes and I winged it. And then this month, as we talked about, me and Sophie had a chat before the podcast and we found out that I've done notes and Sophie's winging it this week.
Yes,
So
very much so.
we're we're balancing each other out on the on being prepared. So yeah, we wanted to talk about Pride Month. And obviously Pride Month has already happened, but we can always talk about our favourite Pride books
Yeah,
whenever we want
I
to.
have quite a
And
few.
one really cool thing that's happening that I did want to mention from the 26th of June, so it's already started, right through to the 30th of August, is the Read with Pride Summer Reading Challenge, which is being run by Bookmark, and in partnership with Lucy the Reader. So if you just go on Twitter and go on hashtag Read with Pride, you'll find everything. And it's a challenge to read as many different Pride books throughout the month, as well, throughout summer as possible. And what I thought was really cool is when I was looking at the poster for it, is we've read a fair few of the books on there, and we've got some reviews actually. So there's the Heartstopper books by Alice Oseman. We've got the reviews on My Endless Shelf. The Deathless Girls, which you read last month and did a review for, that's on there as well. Alice in Wonderland, which was my favourite book, I think, last year. I absolutely loved that book. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I remember you
And
talking quite a lot about that.
and I went to the beach just after reading that, actually, the same beach I went to today. We went and played in the arcade, and it just made it amazing. And it was really sad today that we couldn't go in the arcade because of COVID. So yeah. And Proud, which is a compilation by some really fantastic authors. I think there's a review of that as well. And obviously Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, which we both love.
Yeah, that is one of my favourites.
Yeah, and The Black Flamingo by Dean Atter is on my TBR. That's one I really want to read. So there are really some cool book suggestions on the summer reading challenge. So again, just hashtag Read with Pride, and you'll find the poster and all the stuff for that if you want to take part. But yeah, so let's talk about some of our favourite LGBT books and authors. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so as you've already mentioned, Love, Simon, or Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, was one of my favourites.
And we went to see that at the cinema together.
We did. We were so excited for the film to come out. Yeah.
Yes.
And just for the record, we are terrible for making plans, because we said after that we were going to make it a regular thing.
Yeah, to go to the cinema.
It never happened.
Haven't been once. No, so since Love, Simon came out, we haven't been out together to the cinema.
No.
Which,
but yeah,
really bad.
I like that because obviously, even though it's set in modern day time, it still goes into to explain that there's that struggle there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it is a big thing, and obviously, sometimes you think that it's a bigger thing than it actually is. So once you've said it and it's out in the open, it's all done, and everybody else is like, oh, so it's all right. Do you know what I mean? And you think like, well, I don't know. It just gives you an insight into how people think, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because obviously,
Love, Simon. Yeah, it was a big thing for me, that book and the movie. It really changed a lot of things. Yeah, it was really good, and I think it was for a lot of people as well. There was it was a big, powerful movement, really, in the LGBT community.
Yeah.
And it's done a lot of good, I think, or at least I hope so. I mean, from my opinion, it has.
I think so, because I think it's quite popular now, and it was when it came out, and obviously because they've made the film version as well.
Yeah.
And it was on cinema, and it was really, really popular. So.
Yeah, and I think it was really relatable as well. Like, even though I'm not going to say how much older than the main character in that, but yeah, it still really resonated, and yeah, it meant a lot, that did.
Yeah.
To be honest, Becky Abatelli's books in general, The Upside of Unrequited, which I don't think you've read, I was reading that and it just felt like it was written for me, if that makes sense.
No,
it was just one of those moments where,
it
was just one of those moments where you're reading a book and you just think, is this my life? Like,
I mean, I did also read, which I think you read, Leah on the Off.
Leah on the Offbeat. Yeah.
But to be honest,
I listened to that on Audible.
Yeah, I didn't actually like it that much.
I didn't. I
didn't like how rude.
Leah a bit.
Yeah, like she was so mean to her mum. And that kind of struck a nerve with me, because I'm like, well, I love my mum.
Yeah, it did the same with me. She started off as a lovable character, and then for me, she slowly just turned into somebody who I just couldn't like anymore, which really upset me, because I really wanted it to be good, if that made sense. I really wanted to love the book. But I know what you mean. Any more?
Yeah, another one of my favourites is The Wicked Cometh. It's kind of like got a thrillery twist to it.
Okay.
The ending completely blew my head off. I read this a while ago, actually, and it was set
Yeah.
in the year 1831.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
just
you seem
really...
to be leaning towards more historical stuff as well lately, don't you?
Yeah, and like obviously how this was set out, obviously it's set in London, and you've got like say like you've got poor people that start disappearing
Yeah.
from London, and
Yeah.
then I'm trying to think because it was a really long time ago when I read it. There's a character called Hester,
Okay.
and she's desperate to escape the slums, and she actually gets run over by
Oh, right. Okay.
a member of this aristocratic family. And so obviously she
Yeah.
gets taken to their house and they look after her and kind of make her better again. And that's when
Yeah.
we meet Rebecca, who is also a member of this family. And their relationship just grows, and it's like, I don't know, it's just really good. It just gives you like butterflies all the way through. And then
Yeah.
they discover like the twist, and then it gets dangerous. And then at the end of the book, I hated it. I absolutely hated it, and I almost didn't finish it. But you must
Why?
finish it because I thought that the author was horrible in what she'd done,
Oh, right.
because she
Okay.
got you to love these people and be like, oh, they're so cute together and all this, and then
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much
Yeah,
away, but
I'll never forgive Adam Silvera for that, which I know we talked about last month as well, but
yes,
they both died at the end. Yeah, I'll never forgive
yes,
him for that, ever.
no. Well, anyway, so
He's an amazing author, but I can't forgive him.
after reading up to a certain point in this book, I didn't want to read anymore because I was just like, you just ruined the whole book for me. But yeah, if you are going to read it till the end,
Okay,
and
cool.
that's all I'll say on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, see that when I read Lies We Tell Ourselves last month, that's an LGBT book, and I wasn't happy with the relationship in it for multiple reasons. I just didn't feel so obviously it's a book about racism,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the characters is extremely racist throughout the entire book, and she starts to sort of make some changes and become aware of what she's doing and what impact her actions and her words have. And her and the main character have obviously a love interest
Mm.
with each other.
Yeah,
And I just don't feel that she ever becomes worthy of the main character, if that makes sense.
yeah,
I don't think that she is redeemable. There are things that she does where I think it gets to a point where she shouldn't be forgiven, if that makes sense, by the
yeah,
main character, at least, or at least not at that point, not at the point where her mindset is, because it hasn't changed that much. And so it really bothered me because I really wanted a better person for the main character.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I've got so many. I mean, we both love TJ Klune, who again we
Yes.
talked about last month, and probably will every month because his books are phenomenal. So
Yeah, I think
for me,
if I was feeling really, really down and upset, that would be The Lightning Struck Heart would be the book that I'd go to.
yeah, and I reread that recently, and it's just amazing. But
Yeah.
one of his books that's really, I think it might be the book of his that really, really just blew me away was The Bones Beneath Our Skin, which you haven't read, I don't think.
No, I haven't. It is on my to
And
read
it's
list though.
yeah, and it's a sci-fi, which I don't normally go in for, but it was the way it was done was just phenomenal, and I couldn't put it down. And when I finished it, I was just reeling from the ending, and it was just amazing. The love story, the connection, the other relationships in it, which again I won't go into because I don't want to spoil anything, but it was just perfection. I loved every single minute of it. And at the moment, I'm listening to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is still an LGBT book, but it's actually I didn't realize this, but I think it's for a younger audience as well. So I think it might be um, what I think Americans call middle grade,
Okay.
which is just below YA. I think I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. So I'm listening to that at the moment. And so far, that's really good, and everyone's raving about it, which is great because I know we've been reading TJ Klune stuff for ages,
Yeah.
and now like more and more people are raving about his books, and that's really really great. I'm really excited because he's got a new one as well coming out soon about queer superheroes,
Okay.
which sounds really fun,
Yeah.
and I can't wait for that as well.
I hope
Yeah,
the
so
same
do you have any?
narrator
Oh,
does
sorry.
the what's it on Audible, because I tend to listen to those books on Audible because
Michael Leslie.
yes,
Yeah. Do you know, I don't know. I heard something recently about the narrator of the new ones, but I'm not sure whether it is. I think it might be actually. I think it might be
I
Michael
hope
Leslie
so
who's doing.
because
I
they
think
are
he's
really
doing
good.
the superhero one.
Yeah.
He's definitely not doing House in the Cerulean Sea because I'm listening to that and it's not him. But I think he's doing the superhero one, which I think is called The Extraordinaries. Um, so yeah, and that's out this month, so that's one to watch out for definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me as well, I really liked The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. And I read it and then I listened to it on Audible, and hands down, the Audible version is my favourite. And it might be even my favourite audiobook to date
Yeah.
because it's it's narrated by, Tom Riddle from Harry Potter,
Yes.
and I forgot his name, but the actor who plays Tom Riddle,
Yeah, I remember you
in
did tell me.
the Chamber of Secrets, yeah,
Yeah.
in the Chamber of Secrets. So when he comes out of the diary,
Hmm.
that's who narrates this book, and he is perfect, and it's hilarious. But at the same time, it's really heartfelt and really moving, and it's just awesome, and I love that. Really, really love that.
Good.
But yeah, and then one on my list to read is The Priory of the Orange Tree by
Yeah, I've
Samantha
seen
Shannon.
that.
Yeah, but it's
It's
absolutely
massive.
enormous.
I know that's the
Yeah,
only thing that's put me off
you
buying
could
it.
use. To be honest, I'm tempted to keep it by my bedside just in case anybody ever breaks in because it'd make the perfect murder weapon.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's huge, and that's the only thing that's put me off reading it just yet because I know I haven't got the time
Hmm.
for that kind of
Yeah, that was
page
the same
length
with me.
commitment. Yeah, but yeah. So right, so maybe we should talk about our book club now.
Yes.
So our book club book that we chose for June was Hour of the Bees by Lindsay Eager. And we both started this at a similar time. You started it just before I did, and I remember specifically you read the first chapter
I read up to
and
chapter 2.
yeah, and then you asked me if I'd started it, and I said no. But then that same night, I started it, and I think I read the first 4 or 5 chapters, and I messaged you back, and I said something like, "Oh, this is great! I'm really enjoying it." And you got back and said, "Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm not."
No,
So
I thought we were going to have such mixed opinions on this book. Because obviously I love bees, and it was one of the things that drew me to it. And obviously, because of the description on the back, obviously working with the vulnerable and older adults, and things like that in a care home, it was kind of up my street. So I
yeah,
was really looking forward to it. But I must say, the first 2 chapters did not sell
yeah,
it to me whatsoever, and I thought this is
no,
going to be
no, and
horrendous to get through.
yeah, and they didn't for me either. The first two, I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to say that I can't do it. I can't read it because it's just I'm not connecting with anything.
Yeah.
It's not my kind of thing, and it's I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. But I'm so glad I pushed on.
Yeah, so it was
Um,
kind of you that when obviously I said to you, didn't I? How far are you? And you were like,
yeah,
oh,
and
I'm
I
on
said,
like chapter 3 or 4, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, so it gets much better then in a short space of time. And you were like, yeah.
yeah,
So
and I just kept saying, read it.
yeah, so that kind
Yeah,
of
and
pushed me to.
it did, and I don't know if it was for you, but for me, it got better. I don't know if you got to it at the same point, but for me, it was as soon as Serge started telling his story for the first time. It was that point then I was
Yeah,
like, right, I'm completely invested in this. I need to find out what is happening and what
yeah,
has happened, and
definitely.
I'm in this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first started it, like obviously because the genre of it's supposed to be magical realism.
Well, I
Um,
didn't know this because I purposefully avoided finding anything out. So I hadn't added it on Goodreads. I hadn't even looked for it. I just thought, no, I like the cover, and I like the synopsis. We'll just jump in and we'll go for it and we'll see what
yeah,
happens. So I didn't realize that it was meant to be magical realism or anything else
yeah.
until after I'd read it, and then I went on Goodreads to add it as that I'd read it afterwards.
See, I kind of did that first, and I don't know if that's what set my mind or what, because I knew that, and then obviously the first 2 chapters, I just found there was no realistic setting there whatsoever. I mean, you've
Yeah,
got a 12-year-old girl who's got the narrative mind of somebody that could may as well be 34.
yeah, I
Do
did.
you know what I mean?
That
Like
did, yeah.
I've never ever met a 12-year-old that would describe a desert as being alive and breathing, or
Yeah,
like this quote. Finally, the bee carries itself away until its lace-thin wings are camouflaged against the beginnings of a sunset. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the details in there are absolutely beautiful, but
Yes.
I just
Yeah,
don't
but it was
think that they were for a 12-year-old.
yeah, and that threw me as well. When I found out how old she was, my brain instantly went, "What?" Because
Yeah,
I had, from the way she was speaking at the beginning, I'd
yeah,
automatically assumed that she was older.
yeah.
So
But
yeah,
then, like,
but then her,
as you
oh
go
sorry,
through, no, it's alright, sorry. As you go through a little bit more, and like, obviously, she sees her granddad, and
yeah,
then you think, well, all she's bothered about, like, now this is more realistic. Like, obviously, she's bothered about the fact that she can't spend some of the friends, and she's stuck
yeah,
here, and she's got babysit this ill
yes,
old man that she doesn't know, and that
yeah.
annoyed me as well. Because then I was like, you're just a self-obsessed kid. Do you know what I mean? You don't care about
Well,
your
no,
family,
no,
and
you see, I actually took her side on that because I got really angry with the parents because I just thought, what parent would leave a 12-year-old child alone with a grandfather she's never met who has severe dementia and a baby?
yeah.
And I was like, what parents are these?
See,
Why are they
I
doing
was
that? I
annoyed
mean,
with them all
I
in
know they,
general
yeah,
at
I know they
first.
were struggling with grief and stuff, and I get that. It just didn't sit well that they were fine to leave her alone, being 12, with a man that she hadn't met who had severe dementia. And then, certain things happen that I won't spoil for anyone, but certain things happen that could have been avoided if the parent just took the proper responsibility
Yeah.
and didn't leave it up to the 12 year
I
old.
was more annoyed that,
So,
like, which obviously it goes into explain in the book, and obviously we won't give anything away. But like, your family is your family. Do you know what I mean? And I
yeah,
think for the relationship that we've got with our granddad, how
yeah,
you can, like, trying to imagine not seeing them ever in your life.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or from the parents' point of view, like, they haven't seen them for 12 years.
Mm.
And I just think, these are horrible people. They're so nasty. They're horrible. What horrible people to put in a book. Do you know what I mean? And then as soon as,
Yeah.
like, as it
But
said, hey, starts talking and telling the story,
yeah,
you
and then
just,
you understand why. You
yeah,
understand why they haven't been back, and you
yeah,
understand why they left in the first place. And yeah, it was really heartbreaking, but it all did make sense, and then it started to click together.
yeah,
And yeah, and then everyone didn't seem as bad, if that makes sense.
yeah. Because
I was
obviously
still really
everybody,
angry that they left a 12-year-old alone, but with those
yeah,
responsibilities. But yeah.
yeah.
But
Especially
yeah,
when you
and
go
what I
further into
really
the book
liked
as
is
well.
yeah,
Um, Obviously she gets more to deal with, and you just think that's not fair.
yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, like overall though, I did really enjoy it, and I loved how from the second he started to tell his story, all of a sudden the magic and the mystery just sort of slammed straight in, and it
Yeah,
really built up really quickly. And like I said, I was immersed in it, and I didn't even realize how quickly I was reading it, and then all of a sudden I was at the end, and I was sort of like, oh, I don't want it to finish, which is what you were saying about the
yeah,
bone houses. But I was actually for the this doesn't happen very often, but I was completely happy with how it ended.
yeah, yeah. No, I was as
And
well.
that doesn't usually happen for me because I usually get to the end and I'm like, oh no, I really wanted more, or oh no, that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
Or if it's a cliffhanger and you're just like, oh, what's going to happen next? But with that, I was just completely satisfied. I thought, you know what, that's perfect for what's happened. That's the perfect ending.
yeah, yeah. No, I was really
And
happy
yeah,
with it. But for
I
saying for
just
how
loved it. I could,
quickly, like, you read it. Obviously, I started reading it before you, and then I'd
yeah,
left it, and it was only,
yes,
when was it? When did I tell you I finished it? It was last week, wasn't it?
yeah.
And I
It
think
wasn't long ago.
I'd gone from chapter 2 to finishing the book in 3 or 4 days. Bearing in
Yeah,
mind that I was
that
at
was the same for
work,
me.
like, I
It
worked
was,
full
yeah,
days that week as well.
yeah. It was a few hours, and then that was it. It was done, and I was like, I could read that again. And the thing with it as well, is it just stayed with me, and
Yeah,
it stayed with me ever since. Like, so I started writing my review for it when I finished it, and then I just finished the review today, and I can still remember it as clearly today as I did the day I finished it, and that was a few weeks ago now.
yeah,
And it was just, yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and I think it was a great choice for our first book because it was surprising.
yeah,
It did surprise me how much I enjoyed it.
yeah,
So I hope anybody who listened enjoyed it too. If you did or didn't, you can join us on Friday for our very first live Twitter chat where we'll be talking all about the book. So you just need to use hashtag TTP book chat, and that'll be at 7 p.m. UK time. you can join us live on Twitter to chat about Hour of the Bees, and then we'll have a review live on the blog shortly after as well. Okie dokie.
Can I just say as well, going into just on about
Yeah.
the book again,
Yes.
obviously going into like the magical realism thing, I kind of realised how that came about. I don't think it was supposed to focus so much on the 12-year-old girl as such and how she describes stuff, but more so the realistic manner that the elderly with dementia are treated.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because, and like I said,
Yes.
I've worked with them firsthand, so I know exactly what family are like.
Yeah, and we probably should have said, actually, just as a trigger warning, it does obviously deal with some heavy themes.
Yeah.
So that is something to bear in mind before you do read the book.
Yeah.
Which we, like I said, we didn't realise before we read it, actually.
Yeah, but no, I thought it was really good. Really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I loved it, and I thought it was a great read. And actually, speaking of magical realism, that takes us perfectly into our book of the month for July, which, because I have looked at this one on Goodreads, because I didn't know what it was when you suggested it to me, so I kind of had to look it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've gone for the 10,000 Doors of January by, I'm going to get this wrong, I think it's Alex, but it could be Alex.
I think it's
E.
Alex.
Harrow. Yeah. So the 10,000 Doors of January, and that is a fantasy, historical fiction, magical realism, young adult. It's all there.
Yeah, they've got a bit of everything in there.
It says young adult, and then it also says adult. So we will see.
Yeah.
But that's been very well rated, and the synopsis sounds really, really cool. And again, I seem to be running with this theme of bees and keys and doors ever since I read The Starless Sea at the beginning of the year. We then went to Hour of the Bees, and now we're on the 10,000 Doors of January. I think it's just going to continue.
Yeah.
So,
but to be fair, I chose this one.
Yes, you did. And I did. Yeah, I put a couple of suggestions forward, but when you suggested that and I read the synopsis, I was just instantly like, yes, we've got to read this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just thought it sounded really good. And obviously, I like bees and keys and doors and locks and anything.
And as we said earlier,
wonderful.
the cover is stunning. It's really beautiful. And annoyingly, I'm buying it on Kindle and not hardback, but I really can imagine that I'm going to end up with the hardback at some point. Because
yeah,
it's really, really
I think
pretty.
I am as well. But I don't know if it's because it's not in stock at the moment, but it's like £20.93.
Yeah, which is a little bit pricey, isn't it, I suppose?
But I know it does say it's unavailable, so...
Yeah. So I'm going to get that on Kindle, and you actually are going to be listening to it on Audible. So it will be interesting to see if our opinions differ as well based on reading it and listening to it. So I'm interested to see how that one plays out. So July's book of the month, book club book, is the 10,000 Doors of January. So if you would like to read that with us, just grab a copy, read it through July, and we'll be chatting about it next month, which will be the second Tuesday of August, and that's when we'll be talking about that. And again, we'll be doing a Twitter chat afterwards as well. Okie dokie.
Sounds good.
So, yeah, it does actually, and I'm really looking forward to it. So usually, last month we talked about a couple of news items and events, but we've already talked about Read with Pride, which is the main thing that I wanted to discuss this month. So is there anything else you wanted to add in terms of bookish news or things going on?
Not that I can think of.
No, I mean, the only thing for me is I'm just excited. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. I struggle to find, I don't know if it, like I said last time, whether it's because I'm just oblivious to everything unless it hits me in the face. I need to start throwing more bookish things at you, don't I? It takes me 6 months to realise that my next favourite book's come out, and I've missed it for 6 months. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, it's out.
I do that so much. Somebody told me actually that you can get on Goodreads. They're supposed to message you when a book that you've added to your want to read is out.
Well, see, I thought when I signed up,
I never seem to get there.
No, I signed up to that because I can remember it, and I thought, I'll never miss a book coming out again in my life. And lo and behold, I've not had an email. So
yeah, no, me neither. But actually, talking about Goodreads, one thing that I could talk about is I started to use. I heard on Twitter people talking about a book app called Book Sloth, which is supposed to be, or at least it was what I'd read was that it was supposed to be similar to Goodreads, but with some key differences. So I downloaded it because I just wanted to have a look. And it's been around for a while. It's not new, but it seems that it's garnered a lot of popularity very recently. So when you go onto it, it looks great. It's really pretty. Everything's in color, and you can see just, full color book covers, and it looks really, really nice. And it's supposed to give you personalized recommendations. So when you sign up, you put in things that you like. You rate, obviously, books that you've read, but you also put in particular things about books that you like. So whether you like the characters more, or whether you like world building more, or plot more, or things
Okay,
like
so it
that.
goes into a
And then
lot
it
more detail of recommendations then.
Yeah, and then it will just give you recommendations. And the recommendations that have been coming through for me so far actually look great, and I'm really excited. But, and this is a big but actually, I'm having loads of usability issues. And now, if anybody's listening and you use Booksloth and you love it, please get in touch and let me know where I'm going wrong, because for me, I just find it really slow and it keeps crashing. And even when I'm logged in, sometimes it'll log me out and say you've got to log back in. So at the minute, I'm finding it a bit buggy. Now, I don't know if that's because they've had this massive influx of new users,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a bit demanding on their system, and they're trying to figure it out. So in which case, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt and I'll keep trying. So at the moment, I'm just finding it a bit difficult to use in terms of Goodreads. Compared to Goodreads. But it is interesting because it does look really nice and it's really visually appealing. And because Goodreads can look a bit old-fashioned and a bit cumbersome almost to sort of get yourself around. And you can still add books sort of as you've read them or you want to read them. And there's also a nice little sort of chat feed as well where you can talk to other people, which for me, I suppose it sets off a little bit of wariness on who are you talking to, because it's not limited to your friends, because you don't, well, I don't know if you do have friends on there. I haven't actually looked, but I think it's open to anyone on the platform.
I must admit, I quite like that about stuff because I'm, as we know, very socially awkward. And even
sorry, I don't mean that. Yeah, I'm agreeing.
No, it's okay.
I just mean, yes, that's your opinion of yourself. I think you're fine, but
you know what I'm like. And even like online, like on Twitter or Facebook, I won't comment on stuff because I'm a bit like wary of.
I do remember when we went to the NY Lit Fest and we went up to the authors to get the books signed, and the authors tried to talk to you and you didn't speak back.
No, and then I panicked when we met, what's her name? Alexandra Christo, is it?
Yeah.
And she asked me how I was, and then I just randomly was like, I really like your pens, because she got glittery pens, and then I was just like, oh my god, just get the book and go. So yeah,
and then I felt really bad because I had like a really, really good like 10-15 minute chat with Sally Green, and then realised you were just standing behind me, not doing anything. I was like, so I felt really bad.
So socially awkward. So yeah, I find it hard to connect with people in real life and on the internet. So yeah, I think if you
I do more online actually, because I always worry that what I say is going to come out wrong.
See, that's like
or
it's
going to be like misconstrued, if that makes sense. Yeah, and I do it in real life, and I think it is a slight social anxiety thing. So I'll talk to people, and then hours later, I'll be like replaying everything I said. Thinking, did I sound like a crazy person, or am I okay?
I do that.
So, yeah.
But yeah, so I think like the fact that you can talk to people without having them as a friend, for me, would be like, I don't know, a bit
appealing.
Yeah, a bit more relaxed, like.
Yeah, that makes sense though. Yeah.
You don't have to be approved to start a conversation with someone, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, you download Booksloth then, and then we can both give it a try.
To have a look.
And see what we think. Yeah. Although it is a bit overwhelming at the thought of adding in all the books I've ever read onto it. Do you know what I mean? Because I think on Goodreads there's like, I don't even know how many I've got added that I've read. It's like 1,000. It's something. It's over 1,000 anyway, which isn't loads, but it's And I don't know what to do. Like, the prospect of adding all of those onto Booksloth is just not appealing at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how I get on with that. But yeah, so what about upcoming books? Is there anything you're excited for, or what are you planning to read next, other than our book of the month?
There's quite a few actually. I won't list all of them because that's like majority of my bookshelf. But I bought one not long ago, which I think I showed you. It's called The Library of the Unwritten.
Yes, you did. You did show me that. Yeah.
which
And you
intrigues me.
suggested that for this month as well, but
I did.
I just veered a bit more towards the 10,000 Doors of January. Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, it intrigues me quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's about a library, and you've got these unfinished books.
Sorry.
See,
You just reworded the title
yeah,
there,
I did.
didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what it's about. Again, this is me winging it. I chose it
No
because
problem,
it
that's fine.
sounded
That's
really
allowed.
cool, and there's like a little devil figure on the front cover, and
That's cool.
yeah, so that's
Yeah,
it. I'll
that
read
sounds
it and then
awesome.
let you all know what I think, and hopefully I'll do a
Yeah.
much better job of describing what it's about.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. No, actually, because last month, see, again, we've switched because last month you were like, yeah, I'm really excited for these. And I was like, actually, I've done no research and I don't know what I'm excited for. And I promised you that I would. And actually, I have because I put out a call on Twitter and asked for some book recommendations.
Yeah.
And I was recommended The Rage of Dragons, which sounds really, really cool.
I actually think I've
I
heard
think
of that.
yeah, it's by Evan Winter, and it's the first in a fantasy series, and it's sort of made out like so it's like Game of Thrones meets Gladiator, is what the synopsis says, or
Yeah.
whatever the write up. But it sounds really epic, and it sounds really cool, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I did say that I wanted to try and read more books by authors of color, and Evan Winter is. So I just wanted to add that into my TBR, and it does sound really cool. And I'm really excited to read that and to see what happens in that. So that was a good one because it was nice to get a recommendation from a fellow Twitter person,
Yeah.
a fellow tweeter. Yeah, and then my partner and our friend Matt won't leave me alone until I finally finish Dark Dawn. They keep pestering me and telling me that I have to read it.
I need to
And I don't know
reread
why I
Nevernight
haven't.
because
Yeah, well, I just don't know why I haven't read Dark Dawn because I loved Nevernight, loved God's Grave, read God's Grave, and I finished it before I went to see Jay Kristoff in Manchester to get to get the copy of Dark Dawn, and then I never read Dark Dawn. I don't know why. So yeah, I need to pull
I
my
think
finger out
again
and read that.
sometimes like when you've enjoyed a series so much,
Yeah,
like
I
we were
don't
saying
want it to
before,
end,
you don't want to
truthfully.
finish it. So
Yeah, I
you
do
put
worry
off
about the
reading the
endings
last.
to
Yeah,
series, and yeah,
I did it with
I am worried
the
about
Throne of
it.
Glass series. Like I've read all of them, and I've had Kingdom of Ash on my shelf for since it come out,
Yeah,
and
I've done
I've
exactly the
not read
same.
it.
I've read all the way up to Tower of Dawn, so I've got Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash left, and it's been a couple of years now since I read the one before Tower of Dawn,
Yeah.
and I still haven't finished the series because I just don't want to.
No, I'm the same.
Part of me, I bought the collector's edition of Throne of Glass, and I just keep looking at it on the shelf because it's so pretty. I'm just like, you know what? I should just read that again. Just read it again. It's fine. Just do that, and I'll just keep putting off the ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then books that I'm looking forward to that are new books. So I've already mentioned The Extraordinaries by TJ Klune, which is out on the 14th of July.
Yep.
Which, yeah, and then there's The Friend Scheme by Cale Dietrich. Now, I loved his first book, which was The Love Interest, which was a weird kind of sci-fi YA, and it was really cool. And I really liked how different it was. I hadn't read anything like that before, so it's got like robots and cool things in. And I hadn't read anything like it before, and that was really cool. So he's bringing out a new book, which I don't think they're related actually, even though the covers look kind of similar. But yeah, he's bringing out a new book called The Friend Scheme on the 28th of July. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then the only other one that I had that I want to read is Camp by Lev A.C. Rosen, I think,
Yes,
which
I've
is
seen
out
that.
already. It's just, yeah, it is available now, but it's out of stock, so that's why I haven't picked that up yet. But yeah, those are the ones I'm looking forward to for next month.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, and it should be good. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I also wanted to read, I don't know if you can remember, last year we both had, or did we? I don't know actually. I had a Fairy Loot box for my birthday
Okay.
in
Is this
November.
the traitorous? Yeah, this is the traitorous one that you had
It
that I
was
didn't get.
it was a present for my birthday.
That doesn't matter.
And I
That
bought
doesn't
you one the
matter. I
month
should have got one
after
too.
for your birthday.
That's true.
But yeah, we got the book Skyward. in
Yes,
there.
you did. I didn't.
No. Well, I really want to read that one. It's been sat on my shelf for a
I'm
while.
not sour. I'm not sour at all.
No, of course not.
Yeah, that's by is it Brandon Sanderson?
Yes, it is. Yeah, but there's a second one
Yeah.
coming out. If it's not
Okay.
already come out, which it might have done.
I was going to say, I think it has actually. I think I saw that in Waterstones before the lockdown.
Well, there we go. This is exactly what
I
I'm
think
telling you about.
it may be out.
Yeah, it's
I
probably
could
out
be
6
talking
months
about
ago.
another one of his books, but
no, it probably
yeah.
was out 6 months ago, and I've missed it. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to read Skyward.
Yeah,
which I've been looking forward
and you'll
to
have
read
to let me
since
know.
last year.
Yeah, and you'll have to let me know what that's like because I don't read sci-fi a lot, but then I keep finding these sci-fi things that I do actually like.
Generally speaking, sci-fi doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah, it doesn't to me on a general level, but I wonder if that's from being a kid and like, no offense to my dad and all the other Trekkies, but not really liking Star Trek.
Yeah.
And no offense to my partner, but not really liking Star Wars. And please don't everybody hate me for that. But it just never really did anything for me. But then I've read some amazing sci-fi series and other books that I just fell in love with since then. So.
See, I don't mind Star Wars. I only recently watched them for the first time in my life during lockdown, actually.
Yeah, and you had to ask me which order to watch them in.
Yeah, I did.
I'm probably the worst person to tell you.
I figured it out in the end.
Well, they are numbered.
But yeah,
so I know, but they're all. That was my reasoning.
No, you have to watch them in a different order apparently. But then Google was no help because there was like 3 or 4 different orders to watch them in.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, they weren't that bad. But I just see it as Star Warsy things should stay in Star Warsy things. So.
Okay.
Sci-fi never really appealed to me, but yeah.
Weird though, because you were a Doctor Who fan as well, so.
No.
Were you not?
No, I thought that was you.
No. Well, I liked the first couple of seasons, with the from Christopher Eccleston to like David Tennant.
Yeah, I only liked
that was when I was really young.
Ones, but
yeah, I tried to rewatch them like recently, and yeah, it didn't.
No.
Well, yeah, I didn't really enjoy it much. So yeah. Overall, sci-fi is not really a go, but we keep finding these cool books that do make it cool. So yeah.
Yeah, but apart from that, I think that's all I've got on my. And obviously, The Lies That We Tell Ourselves, which you've just read.
Yeah.
Which is one that I was looking forward to read.
Yeah, and like I said with that, it was very, very good, but at the same time, I just felt it was really difficult to read.
Yeah.
And there were just difficult things in it. So yeah, just go into it obviously with the understanding that it's not going to be
pleasant
and nice. Yeah, exactly, because it is a difficult subject matter. So yeah. But yeah, so I've had a great chat with you today.
Yeah, it's been really good.
You have too.
I have,
and I'm really looking forward to the 10,000 Doors of January, which is our July book club read. And again, so we do the podcast on the second Tuesday of every month, and we will be doing this month. We'll be doing a live Twitter chat on the Friday after the podcast at 7 p.m. UK time, and you can join that by using the hashtag TTP Book Chat, and we'll be talking about Hour of the Bees this month, so everybody can get in touch and tell us what you think, whether you agree with us that we thought it was really cool, or whether you didn't.
Yes, or so, like us, if you have mixed opinions where you liked it or didn't like it, and then throughout the book your opinions change.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really great thing about books, actually, as well, as obviously you can start off not liking something and that can turn out better, or you can start off loving something and you can end up hating it. So
yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to finish on. So Definitely. Yes, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next month.
Yep.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.